Welcome back to another episode of the Wellness Inspired Podcast, a place where you can find inspiration, motivation, and empowerment in the pursuit of a wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Sheri Davidson. I'm a wellness coach, acupuncturist, trail runner, and former interior designer in Houston, Texas, and I am deeply passionate about health and well-being. And as always, I'm here with my co-host, Finn. And if you're new to the podcast, Finn is my terrier mixed rescue dog, trail runner, and loyal companion. He is also a therapy dog and greeter at Element 5 Acupuncture and Wellness. And I have an exciting episode for you today. This is part of a series, the Design and Living Well series. Last episode, I talked about the idea that nice design isn't just decorations, that the spaces we live in quietly shape how we feel, how we function, and whether wellness actually sticks. So today, I want to go a little bit deeper because once you start paying attention, you notice something. Some spaces just feel easier to be in. You walk in and something settles. You can think, you can breathe, you know where things are, and there's room to move. And other spaces, even beautiful ones, feel like they're constantly asking something of you. That difference isn't random. It's designed, whether anyone meant to design it or not. So in this episode, I want to explore what's actually happening when a space feels easy and what's happening when it doesn't. Are you ready? All right, well, let's jump in. Let's start something most of us experience every single day, but rarely name it. Decision fatigue. It's the idea that every choice you make, no matter how small, draws from the same limited pool of mental energy. What to wear, what to eat, where did you leave your keys, which pile to deal with first, what's for dinner, and whether to open that email now or later. Now, none of those feel like big decisions, but they accumulate. And by the end of the day, your brain is tired, not because you did anything hard, but because you made hundreds of small choices without realizing it. Researchers have estimated that the average adult makes thousands of decisions a day. Most of them are invisible, and that's the problem. They don't feel like decisions, so we don't notice the toll it takes. So this is where your environment comes in. A disorganized space doesn't just look messy, it generates decisions. Every surface covered in stuff is a question your brain has to process. Every drawer you open and dig through is a micro problem you're solving. And every room that doesn't have a clear purpose asks you to figure out what you're supposed to be doing there. Now, think about the opposite. A space where things have a place, where you don't have to search for what you need, where the layout guides you naturally from one thing to the next. That space isn't just tidy. It's doing something for you. It's making decisions on your behalf, quietly and in the background, so you have more energy for the things that actually matter. There's a study out of UCLA that I think about often. Researchers from the Center on Everyday Lives of Families studied 32 middle-class dual-income families in Los Angeles. They went inside these homes, they filmed daily routines, they documented every room, and they measured cortisol levels, the stress hormone, through saliva samples. And what they found was striking. The more cluttered a home was, the higher the cortisol levels in the people living there, especially in women. Mothers who described their homes using words like messy, chaotic, had cortisol patterns associated with chronic stress. You see, their stress didn't drop at the end of the day the way it should. And here's what really stayed with me. It wasn't that these families were unhappy or unhealthy. They were busy, loving, normal families, but their spaces were quietly working against them. The clutter wasn't just visual noise. It was a biological stressor. And that's not a tidiness issue. That is a wellness issue. And it goes beyond clutter. Think about the total sensory experience of your home at any given moment. The hum of the appliances you've stopped noticing. A television playing in the background that no one's watching. Overhead lighting that's too bright for the evening. And notifications buzzing from a phone on the counter. Now, none of that is dramatic, but all of it is input, and your nervous system is processing every bit of it, whether you're aware of it or not. So when your environment is constantly stimulating you, even at a low level, your body stays in a subtle state of alertness. It's not fight or flight. It's more like your system never fully powers down. You're never quite at rest, even if you think you are. And over time, that low-grade activation makes everything harder. Sleep is lighter, patience is thinner, recovery takes longer. The things you want to do for yourself, stretch, journal, cook a real meal, go for a walk, feel heavier than they should. And it's not that you're lazy. It's that your environment used up your bandwidth before you had a chance to spend it on something meaningful. Now, let's talk about something people don't think about often enough, and that's how space flows. When I was doing corporate design, layout was everything. Not because it made a room look better in a photograph, but because it determined how people actually moved through the space, where they paused, where they got stuck, where they felt comfortable, and where they didn't. And the same thing happens in our homes. We just don't always see it. Think about your morning. You wake up, you move from the bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen. You get ready, you gather what you need, you head out the door, or you go to your desk. Now, think about what happens along that path. Are there bottlenecks? Places where you have to squeeze past something or move something or make a decision about where to go next? Is the coffee set up in a place that makes sense? Or do you cross the kitchen 3 times before you head out the door? These things sound small, but when they happen every single day, they create friction, and friction creates fatigue. Good layout does the opposite. It creates what designers sometimes call a natural flow, a path through the space that feels intuitive, almost invisible. You don't think about it. You just move. And that ease is a gift your space gives you every single morning before you've even made a single conscious decision. This is also why simplicity works. And I don't mean minimalism for the sake of minimalism. I'm not talking about white walls and empty rooms. That's an aesthetic. And for some people, believe it or not, that kind of starkness actually creates its own stress. When I say simplicity, I mean clarity. I mean a space where the visual information matches what you need in that moment. A bedroom that looks like rest, a workspace that looks like focus, and a kitchen that invites you rather than overwhelms you. When a space has clarity, your brain doesn't have to work hard to figure out what's happening. There's less competition for your attention, less to filter, less to manage. And that's where the connection to wellness becomes really clear, because consistency, that thing we all chase in wellness, and I talk about this a lot on the podcast, isn't always about willpower. It's about making the things you want to do easier than the thing that you don't. If your yoga mat is visible and accessible, you're more likely to use it. If your journal is on the nightstand and not buried in a drawer, you're more likely to open it. And if your kitchen feels calm and inviting, you're more likely to cook. Simplicity in design isn't about having less, it's about seeing clearly. And when you can see clearly, you can act more easily. I notice this in myself all the time. When my space is dialed in, when things are where they belong, when there's breathing room, when the surfaces are clear, I move through my day differently. I'm calmer. I'm more focused. I make better choices without thinking about it. And when it's not, when things start to pile up, when I've been too busy to reset the space, believe me, I feel it. It's not one big thing, but it's a slow drag. And everything takes just a little more effort. And this causes me to reach for the easier option more often. And I skip the things that actually make me feel good. And the thing is, I know better. I've spent years studying how environments affect people, and it still gets me. That's how powerful our spaces are. They shape our behavior even when we're paying attention. So here's what I want you to leave with today. Easy isn't accidental, it's designed. The spaces that feel effortless, the ones where you can think, rest, move without resistance, they're doing something very specific. They reduce the number of decisions your brain has to make. They're lowering the sensory volume, and they're creating flow instead of friction. And you don't have to redesign your whole home to feel this. Start with one space, one room, one corner, and ask yourself, what is this space asking of me? What decisions is it generating that I don't need to make? And what would it feel like if the space felt just a little easier? Because when a space supports you, you don't have to try so hard. And when you don't have to try so hard, the things you actually want to do become possible again. Ease isn't luxury, it's foundation. And it starts with the spaces we live in. Well, that's a wrap, friends. I hope you enjoyed this episode. The next episode will be part 3 out of 4 of the Design and Living Well series. So I hope you come back, and I will explore why nature belongs in our homes and why the connection between our spaces and the natural world isn't a trend. It's something much, much deeper than that. So for all of you that are listening, if you know me, you know how much, or if you've listened to the podcast over the past 2 years, I love biophilic design. And if you are a friend of mine and you really know me, you know how many plants I have around me. So I love plants. I love nature. It's part of the reason why I love trail running so much is because it just drops me out in the middle of nowhere. When I travel and trail run anyways, not here in Houston, but I love nature and I love biophilic design. So I'm really excited to talk about that in this series. So I hope you come back for the next episode. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you back here next time. All right. Bye. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. You can also give me a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps others find me as well. To get updates on new episodes and wellness inspiration in your inbox, please join the Wellness Inspired community. Go to thewellnessinspiredpodcast.com to sign up. I'll put the link to the website in the show notes so you can click and join. Also, there's a Facebook community at The Wellness Inspired, and you can follow me on Instagram at wellness_inspired. If you're in the Houston area or just visiting and interested in our services, acupuncture, herbal medicine, cupping, zen shiatsu, or dry needling therapy, contact us. You can find out more on our website at element5om.com. That's element5om.com. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes. If you're interested in health and wellness coaching, we can connect in the clinic or on Zoom. Reach out to us and we'll get you on the schedule. And as always, I would love to hear your feedback. I am dedicated to bringing you great content that is inspiring and informative with an artsy, fun, edgy spin. Thank you so much for listening. We'll meet here again next time. And remember, never stop exploring, learning, loving, and being you. Bye.